Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast with Mike Trainer, Jay Jules, and John Depot. Hey, what's up, Giants fan? Welcome to the Big Blue Offensive Podcast. You know what it is. It's me, Mike. Jules is always with us, but we're missing a guy tonight. We're missing John Depot, man. I guess he must be slapping other Giant haters or Giants that call themselves fans for still picking Barkley back in 2018. So he's probably slapping all those guys. So John has a night off, but we got a special guest this week, all the way from the motherland, because you know I'm Irish. That's the House of Pain, like little reference. I can start singing House of Pain right now. But we got a guy that was on the BRWAL Boxing, no longer part of the network. He's Irish. His name is COLM. Did I get that right?
You got it. COLM. Perfect.
COLM, yep.
You absolutely killed it. I wanted to see Jules say it, though. I don't think he was too confident in that one.
Well, me?
Yeah, I don't think you were too confident.
It's COLM.
You were letting Mike say it. He got it in one.
So I was pretty close. I was the one that was the closest now when we were kind of like, shooting out how to pronunciate it initially. So
yeah, you had it first.
Yeah. So
I do a lot of, I might not be Irish, but I do a lot of hanging out in those type of places, like mostly bars.
Yeah.
I used to bartend and I worked with a lot of guys from Ireland. So therefore, I would always make sure that I get their names pronounced right, all that kind of shit. Like, so after a while, especially after a few drinks, the accent doesn't even sound like one to me after a while.
I have ancestors from there, and I still have problems.
Yeah, I know. No, it is a nightmare. But everyone in America has someone related to them that's Irish, right?
Have you ever been to New York?
Have I ever been to New York? I go 5 or 6 times a year.
5 or 6 times a year. Okay. So then that's how you became a Giant fan, from coming here?
Well, my family live in New York, so Rockland County, if you know it.
Yeah, not too far from here. Yep.
Yeah. So my family live in Rockland County in a place called Fields. So I don't know if you've heard of that, but they live in Fields. It's just by the Palisade Center, not too far.
Baseball, yep.
Yep. So my family live there. My cousin's a big Giants fan. My other cousin's a Falcons fan. So from I was young, they were always on to me about, like, you got to support the Giants, you got to watch American football. But growing up for me, it was always just really kind of like soccer, like we call it football here. So that was what I was most into. And then whenever I remember exactly how it happened. So I was like 13. The Giants were making an absolute run in the playoffs.
Yep.
2008. My cousin's like, look, you got to start watching the Giants. I'm like, no, I don't have time. I'm only 13. So you got to bear in mind the games over here are like, the real good night games are like 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Wow.
So, yeah. So my cousins are like, look, you have to watch the Super Bowl this year. So I'm 13. I'm like, Mom, Dad, can I watch it? They're like, no chance. It's 1. You're not watching it. So I was like, nah, I'm definitely going to do it. So I stayed up late. Funny story. I'd been to New York that summer, and my cousins made me get a Peyton Manning jersey, Colts. I don't know why. There was a reason behind it, but they were like, look, because they wanted me to pick between the Falcons and the Giants or something. They were like, don't get either. Get Peyton Manning. He's the best quarterback around, right? So I had that jersey, and I wore it sitting here watching the Giants in that 2008 Super Bowl. And I remember the helmet catch of David Tyree. Yep. And I'm sitting here like a kid, like, doesn't really know the rules, doesn't know the game, but I'm just like, whoa, I love this. And then when Big Plax makes that play, that's it. I'm done for life. And genuinely, I've never missed a game since then.
Yeah, I cried when that happened. But first of all, it's football, okay? You have soccer, all right? It's football.
Nah, I know. But to be fair, whenever I'm over there, like, I catch myself, like, my friends will joke around because I do a bit of work on ESPN in America, and my friends will joke around about like an American twang, but I just can't help it. Like, whenever I'm trying to, because it's very hard to understand me. So like, people over there, when I'm out in bars and stuff, they like don't understand. So I have to like kind of talk with that little twang, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, being Giants since then, 2008, haven't stopped. I don't think I've missed a game. I go every year to New York numerous times. I watch a lot of the Yankees, so I don't know if you guys like the Yankees, but I'm a big I'm a big Yankees guy, and I go to that. And I mean, even I would go to the license plate guys, charity softball a lot in the summer times. So
Right,
I
right.
know last year I don't think he had one, but I wasn't there because of COVID. But before that, that was something I always loved going to, and I met like Ruben Randall and some different Giants players at it. And being a kid growing up watching that, I don't know, I just loved it.
You've had to come here for like to Yonkers for Rory Dolan's, right?
I've been around Yonkers. I've been everywhere, to be honest.
Okay.
All the Irish come to Rory Dolan's, man. If you ever come to New York, you have to go there. It's like part of the rules. Like as soon as you get off like the boat, you have to go right there.
Is that where you live, Yonkers?
Yes. Well, we both grew up there.
Yeah.
Oh, you both grew up there.
Yeah,
Nice.
actually not too far from Rory Dolan's. I would say I grew up maybe 2 miles from there. Like literally, like
No.
if I had to stumble home, I could.
Yeah.
Far enough. But yeah, I definitely could. It's funny. It's funny you brought up the whole football soccer thing. Originally 200 years ago, when they say that the sport originated in Britain, it was called soccer. It was association football for sure. It was soccer, and then when rugby came around, they had to sort of choose them. So they went rugby, and the other one went football. So us Americans are not that far off when it comes to what we call it. Just saying.
I agree. But it'll never change over here. It's always been that. But one thing I don't get right is see these London games that happen. I know you guys probably watch them from there. It annoys me. It annoys me so much when I see these games go and everyone's wearing like different jerseys. Like that really gets maybe just because I've 15 years of my life now, I've just loved the NFL. But maybe that's just arrogance on my behalf. But I just can't stand it. So I'm gonna go to the Jets Falcons this year just because it's in London, and I want to go see it. My cousin's a Falcons fan. But you bet I'm gonna be at the jersey.
You're gonna be one of them.
I don't think I can do it.
Get a Zach Wilson jersey.
I'll never wear another team ever. But I tell you one thing though, I'll be at the Giants Falcons 100% in New York. COVID or not COVID, I'm gonna be there.
Listen, we'll stay in touch. We'll try to arrange something because I know
100%.
Things are lightening up a little bit around here as far as COVID's concerned, and in New York, especially in the New York area. I don't know how much it's been. And I'm sorry, I don't know if I missed earlier, but where in Ireland are you?
Belfast.
Belfast. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Northern Ireland, right?
Yeah, well,
all right.
Contentious issue, Ireland.
Got it. All right. Yeah, I don't know. So how's the COVID situation there?
No, it's getting better, but I mean, they've only just opened up indoor bars this weekend. It's opening for indoor bars. So we've been way behind the trend. So I mean, the numbers are really low. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, a lot of people are vaccinated now. Hopefully, travel opens up and we can kind of get going back over there. Because I mean, I used to fly as I say, I go 5-6 times a year. There was a great flight into Stewart Airport. I don't know if you know what that is. But
it went, absolutely. Yeah.
It went from Belfast direct to Stewart. So that was perfect. Yeah, that was perfect for me. I just used to go, and you know how much it was? $129 round trip.
Don't tell me that because Stewart's up in Newburgh, right?
Yeah, it's in Newburgh. Yeah.
My cousins live over right near, literally 2 blocks away from Stewart Airport, from the airport. So now I'm wait a minute, it's $150 to fly to Ireland. I know. My cousin's I'm coming over your house.
They don't do the flights anymore with the Norwegian or something. So now I'm Aer Lingus to Newark, and it's 5 times the price. But we gotta do it.
I can't believe the bars just open up there, man. You guys must have been just drinking on the streets. I just picture empty Guinness cans just flooded the whole fucking roadways, man. It must have been that control.
Yeah, people have been a lot. I don't know. Over here, they've been more understanding. I speak to my cousins every day in New York, and they're saying, how things people stopped wearing masks a while ago. People don't really care anymore. But my cousin went to his first Yankees game last week, and he's a big Yankees guy, goes a lot. And for me, that kind of told me, if he's going to it, it might be okay over there. But you're no masks anymore, right? Cuomo said that.
That's not entirely. So I live in Brooklyn now, and it's still pretty much mask mandated. Yes, once you sort of get into a bar and they seat you, you can then take off your mask at your table. But as far as then getting back up to go to the bathroom, you're supposed to put it back on. If you're sitting outside, they're a little bit more laxed. However, if I'm not mistaken, I think starting tomorrow is when things are really going to open up to 100% capacity. And from this point moving forward is where the mask restriction is going to start to even lessen. That's so like it's kind of like literally just unfolding like this week where we're going to be more understanding of what the new rules are and how they're going to work it. I guess, you know, they're lining up everything for Memorial Day, which is next weekend over here in the States.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of why they're prepping everything kind of for that. Yeah. So we'll see.
I just know Memorial Day is whenever my cousin's swimming pool gets opened out his back, and that's whenever I'm like, right, that's when I'm going to be going over. That's the time of the year when I want to be there.
You know, so you mentioned in 2008, that's when you first actually watched your first full Giants game. And it was a great one to watch. Listen, I remember where I was. I know Mike definitely knows where the hell he was, right?
Yep.
Since 2008, let's say, till now, how has the popularity of the sport grown in Europe overall?
Like, I can't speak for Europe because this is like a misconception of like America and Europe. It's more so like Britain and Ireland, because Europe, American football, NFL, whatever you want to call it, it's always been there. So, you know, back in like the 90s, they had this European League. Some of the guys would have went to, you know, like I've only watched tape of it. So like I never watched that. I didn't know about the sport then. But looking at that, it was always kind of there through Europe. I see this year they're starting up. Funny, a journalist actually tweeted me the other day to ask would I cover it for him, the European League. I'm not doing it because I don't have time, but they're starting it up again this year, and there's like a whole loads of teams. But to be honest, like Ireland and the UK, it's crazy. Like example, really? I used to run one fantasy league, right? Okay. So I used to run one fantasy with like my cousins in America, some of their guys, a few guys from here. Now I run 4. I've actually just started. I've just started a 5th, and it's a dynasty league.
Wow.
So like that just gives you a bit of an idea. And these are all guys from here. Like, so even like, for example, some of my friends and stuff that maybe wouldn't have necessarily been into it before, they all love it now. They're all picking teams. You know, it's crazy how big it's getting over here.
So what happens when the Giants play on Monday night? Like that game's got to go for what, like 3?
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, people don't understand my sleeping pattern between the Yankees and the Giants is just like I don't miss a Yankees game. Last night I'm up watching them against the Texas Rangers. I don't miss the Giants. My sleep, sometimes I sleep for like 2-3 hours. Sometimes I sleep for like 6 hours and then stop and then get up. It's crazy, but like you have to do it. And like ultimately, I think I can't say too much, but I think pretty soon, like there's a chance I'll be over there, and hopefully. But that's my plan. Like, and at the moment, it's just kind of like a workaround. You know, people, I think you guys maybe wouldn't understand. Like, you probably never even thought of that. Like, even whenever we talked about me coming on here, and you know, thank you guys for coming on at 9. But
you're welcome.
But you know, normally, like people in America, like when I'm in a bar talking about, I'll give you actually a really good example. So I'm in this bar called Fireside, right? Okay. So it's like a hick bar, right? Okay. So I'll paint the picture for you, right? It's just in Rockland County. Search it. So you've got all these guys over here who, first of all, my cousin's a CEO, right? So you got all these guys at the opposite side of the bar who have been in jail, who are just out on bail, you know, all these guys. Then you've got like my cousin and a few of his guys from work. And then you've just got all these random old people in the bar, right? So they do an unbelievable pizza pie.
Okay.
So, right, you got to try this place. So I'm eating a pizza pie, and some guy hears me with my accent talking about the Giants. And he's like, you know, he's had a couple drinks, and he's like, what do you know about the Giants? And he's giving me it, like, so then we start talking. See, by the end of the night, the dude's following me on Twitter. He's messaging me the next day asking me to go for coffee. He's like, I didn't understand you even knew what this game was. Like, you know more than me. Like, all this stuff, you know, just crazy. Like, people just take it for granted because, like, okay, a lot of people from here don't really know a lot. But just whenever you're kind of like studying the sport so much, you get to know more, and it's just one of those things, you know.
Sure.
Dude, you're dedicated, man. For, you know, with those hours watching the games. I mean, here in America, we used to bitch about when Monday night games started at 9 instead of 8. It was such a big deal. Like, I mean, but yeah, I tell you, if I lived like anywhere else, say if I moved to Ireland or whatever tomorrow, I'd be the same way, man. I'd be like, all right, pregame, I guess, is at 12:45 tonight. You know?
Yeah, you can't miss the Giants. Like, I wouldn't for the world. I can't imagine missing the Giants game. You know, and over here it's different. Like I probably shouldn't really say it. Not all the games are on regular TV. So I have an American TV hooked up here. So I have all the American channels. So I have a direct TV basically here. Yeah, so I just get to watch like the Yes Network to watch the Yankees, and then I watch every Giants game. But over here, you know, a big thing's Red Zone. So like on a Sunday, a lot of UK fans would watch the Red Zone. That's the thing that they watch. And then there's like a game on at 9 p.m. our time, right? There's a game on at 6 p.m. our time, and there's the Sunday night game, the Thursday night game. So you're only really getting in regular TV, but even you have to pay for it, but it's like 4 or 5 games a week.
Okay.
So I'm lucky I can watch the Giants every week, you know.
All of them.
Yeah.
Damn
That's
right.
awesome that fits in that package like that.
Yeah. Well, it's not legal, the DirecTV, but I'm just we'll throw it out there. It's fine.
I would do the same thing.
I can't imagine like missing a Giant game. I remember like I had to go to like, I was asking my friends, I'm like, should I go? Like I had this girl, I was going out with this girl for a while, and it was her sister's like, I don't know, christening, some bullshit like that, on a Sunday, right during the fucking game. So I'm like, guys, do I really have to go for this? And she's like, yeah, you have to go, Mike. Like you have to be an adult. You're in a relationship, you have to go. So I'm like I went, I hated myself. It was the Giants versus Arizona where Victor Cruz gave himself up. And I was watching the fucking game through like this like little hole in between like the banisters at the fucking between the restaurant and the bar. And I'm trying to have a conversation with these people, dude. It was the worst, man. Like I'd never again. Just fucking call out sick or something in that relationship, all right?
I know, exactly.
Get yelled at, but who cares? You can't miss a Giant game.
I know. No, it just doesn't happen. And I mean, I don't know how big you are in Yankees, but like I very rarely, like I will miss a few Yankees games, but like very rarely I'll miss them.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
Just to kind of sum it up real quick, as far as the Yankees go, we have traveled to visiting stadiums quite often, especially been up to Boston a bunch of times. And, at another time, we will definitely, probably over a beer or something like that, share some of the stories that we have from Boston.
Yeah, good.
More recently, we went out a couple of years ago to Wrigley when they were playing like the Friday afternoon game out there. Like it was on Cinco de Mayo. That's another whole story, which Mike remembers. Oh, no, that's right, me miss. That's another one. But no. But seriously, yeah, no, we're crazy diehard Yankee fans. I mean, look, growing up, I mean, shit, we were literally like a 10-minute, 15-minute ride over to the stadium. We weren't far if we were driving. If not, you get on the train and everything, you're there in less than a half hour. You know what I mean? Like, so it was real convenient. Especially when we were growing up, like. You can get into the stadium for like $8 if you stood in the stand, like in the bleacher areas and everything else. So it was like nothing, man. It was a great budget way to just go out and have fun on like a weekend night or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, it used to be like $4.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's crazy. Like,
yeah, but that's when you were cut off from the other part of the stadium. So the old stadium, if you spent like the $5 to go to the bleachers, you could not visit the rest of the stadium.
No way.
Restricted from everywhere else. It was great.
Oh my god.
Oh god. All right. So should we move into some Giants talk?
Man. Let's definitely get into some Giants talk for sure.
What's the first thing that happened, Jules? What's on the list?
Well, listen, we have a couple of things going on, signings, and of course, what the predictions are and what the key factors are going to be for each of our opponents in the NFC. But to kind of start, look. I was surprised when I saw they had, one of the signings was Kelvin Benjamin, and, he was a receiver and he was drafted by Gettleman and all this kind of nonsense. And listen, I remember this guy always having hype and never coming through. And then all of a sudden I saw him in like one of the videos I was watching and he's running around. That dude looked like a freaking like a linebacker or some shit. I'm like, who the hell? Yeah. Benjamin? And then I start reading, he switched to tight end, he's this, that. Look, he hasn't played since 2018. I feel like we have about 45 tight ends on this team, but you know what? Hey, let's see what happens. I guess you could never have too many of any position, right? If it fits.
When I first looked at him, like I thought he switched to offensive lineman. Like I mean, he was tremendous. Like
he's gonna play guard. That's who I knew right guard is.
But you know what I think with this Benjamin signing, right? A lot of people are getting on Gettleman. I don't really get the Gettleman abuse, to be honest. I think he's came up trumps. Right, I'm a big Gettleman fan. I don't care what anyone says. I've been blasted for this on Twitter a bit by Giants fans.
Me too.
Right. So I'll give you my reasoning behind the Benjamin signing. You can tell me if you agree. Right. We all know from watching Jason Garrett offenses at the Cowboys that he loves 2 tight end sets, right?
Yep.
So we look at last season and you look at Caden Smith and Evan Ingram. We're kind of at a loss whenever we need 2 tight end sets in there because Smith's a good blocker. He's shown a bit in the pass game, but not enough, right? So you're bringing in Rudolph, you're bringing in Benjamin, and you've got Ingram, and you've still got Smith. There's 4 good big tight ends, right? If you can get Kelvin Benjamin on the same wavelength as Kyle Rudolph and Evan Ingram, can you imagine these weapons that's given Daniel Jones this season?
It's pretty crazy.
It definitely is crazy. I mean,
it's nuts.
Yeah.
People don't understand it, but I'm telling you, those 2 tight end sets are going to be constant. You're going to see that every game this year with the Giants. I know for a fact that Jason Garrett loves that in his offense, and I think it's going to suit. That's why they brought in Kelvin Benjamin, and he's got really good hands. Let's see what we can do with him. Take a punt on the guy. There's no problem with it.
And you know what? It's great that you mentioned that 2 tight end set. You know, a lot of times that everybody's in sort of, you know, and listen, myself included, that we didn't draft in linemen. We needed to get more offensive linemen and all these different things. But you're right. Look, if you're bringing in this guy, especially a guy like, and I've been calling him on the show, Old Man Rudolph, because when we initially signed him, I was like, listen, he's not a spring chicken anymore. His better days are at Minnesota. I don't give a shit. He's not replacing Evan Ingram. Like, let's not get too crazy. But you're right. As an addition to, especially having with Jason Garrett's there, you know, his system, it is an upgrade for sure. And you bring in a guy like Kelvin Benjamin, who is a little, you know, younger than him at the very least. There's going to be a lot of that sort of misdirection where these guys are going to be able to take over as blocking for them. You know, Rudolph's a hell of a blocker. Let's, you know, say the least. And Benjamin can get that down. I mean, it's just another added piece to the pie, right? And that's where I think a lot of people don't realize that we do have enough depth at the offensive line position where it's not so necessary to be like, oh God, we should have, you know, took a 3rd round pick or something with that. You know, I think we're a little bit better than people are expecting us to be, especially some of these so-called experts. Because I don't know if you've seen some of the predictions for what they're saying that we're going to win as far as games are concerned. Yeah. We're on the over a 7, which I just find absolutely ludicrous. And one of the main factors is because of that offensive line. But the other one will be about the guy we're going to talk about a little later on. And that's the other 2 things. And outside of that, but to me, that's just absurd. But yes, to sort of answer your question, you know, to agree with you there, I agree with you 100%. I think with those 2 tight end sets, 2 wide receivers, you know, Saquon in the backfield, you know, it's going to be an interesting thing. We're really. It
sounds like heaven to me right now.
What's that?
It sounds like heaven to me right now. Just keep saying it. Throw in all these wide receivers. You know what I mean? Put Saquon in the backfield. You've got Corey Clement. You've picked up who I think is a decent pickup as a 3rd down back. We've got Devontae Booker, who also is so underrated. It's crazy. And I would say that if he went to the Eagles, I don't care. If he went to the Eagles, I'd be saying the same thing. I think this kid's underrated. And you know who's a sleeper? Gary Brightwell in the draft, or 6th round pick. Any of you watch this tape or no?
I watched a little bit of it.
Some of it. Yeah, I had to.
After special teams, right? Special teams guy.
Well, he is, but I'm telling you now, he's going to play a lot of running back. He's going to come in for Saquon a lot. This season.
Really? So we got a bold prediction already.
That's a bold prediction. Remember me saying it.
Listen, that's noted. No, because the fact that you gave so much praise to Booker, because I've been calling him. I don't know if you were ever familiar with like the WWF or any of that kind of stuff back in the day. There used to be a guy called Booker T. Washington. Booker T, yeah. So that's what I've been calling. I'm like, Booker T's coming through.
I think he's going to be good too. I'm telling you, we're loaded in every position.
Listen, I did.
On the offense,
that was going to be one of the next guys to talk about was the Corey Clement signing. Yo, he's always been really efficient, right? To say the least. Like that's just a really sort of kind of like way to just put it that, you know, anytime he had to step in as a starter, as a 3rd down back, as a fill-in, he was always successful with the Eagles. He was. And then, you know, having him come across this system and knowing that we can use a back or 2 to spell Barkley, he's a perfect fit. I think that, you know, listen, there's a couple other people that mentioned it that they think he might have been a better signing than Booker was, you know, and I might agree with that as well. Like that was a strong signing. It really gave us depth at that position where we're not going to be looking to run guys that are 45 years old behind the line anymore, right? We have guys that are capable to step in and fill in for a game or 2. But your Brightwell pick, man, I'm writing it down.
Write that down. Remember me saying it.
We're all writing this one down, but I tell you, Clement was a good signing. Like he had like really good games against us. I always remember hearing his name. But I think like with the injury bug that he had, I think he kind of like fell out of favor in Philly with their running back. So you know what? it's just another added piece to the depth that we're accumulating this year. Like if I'm not worried about like in years past, I'd worry like if a guy went down with an injury, like who we got gonna step up now.
Exactly.
I'm like, we're getting guys. Like you just mentioned all the tight end depth. Now the running back depth is starting to be there, so like I'm pretty excited.
Don't even start me on the wide receivers.
Oh,
You know what I mean? But when Wayne Gallman, we all knew he was going to go, right? I was a bit disappointed because I thought he came up really good last year after Barkley went down. I thought he played well. He showed really good signs. And then I was but then like Corey Clement is a guy who caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
Like this isn't just a bit part player we're getting here.
Right.
So
Not legit.
that's what I'm saying. 100%.
Well, since we won't go too deep into the wide receivers, but I do have to ask you what your prediction is or your anticipation for the Kadarius Toney is.
Oh, wait. Well, hold on, Colm. Before we get to them, we're gonna leave a little cliffhanger. We're gonna take a quick commercial break.
There we go.
Hear what Ireland has to say, man. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Man, that was a quick break. Let's hear it, man. I want to hear your thoughts on Toney, man. I love Toney. Let's go.
Okay. I love Toney, but I'm not gonna lie to you both. I was all in on Smith.
Me too.
And I never
we all were.
I'm glad you said that. I was never in a million years did I think that the Eagles were going to trade for him. That wasn't even in my thinking. Right? So yeah. I mean, like
it's still a shock.
It broke
it
my
still
heart.
hasn't resonated yet.
Yeah. Like honestly, so bear in mind it's like 3 a.m. here. That happens. I'm just ready. That's it. I'm throwing myself into the ocean. Like, you know what I mean? That was a bad time. So then whenever you get Toney, you know what? I like it. I think he's got the premise to become the number one wide receiver. But I feel like he's going to be better as a number two alongside Golladay because he's going to get so much more space. And like, okay, if we got Devontae Smith, devil's advocate, Devontae Smith's probably your number one wide receiver, right? Over Golladay.
Well, eventually. I don't know about it would be his rookie year, but you would expect by year 2, 3.
Yeah.
I would go as far as saying his rookie year, personally, right? But I think Toney is the type of guy who's going to just thrive on being that number two guy.
Okay.
I like that.
So that's my take on it. I think Galladay's going to be your number one option, but then you've got this guy, Toney, and I think he's going to go off this year. I think we're all going to be sitting here after this season saying, I'm so happy we didn't take Devontae Smith.
So I'm going to put you on a quick spot here because I'm not going to say Devontae Smith because as much as that pick hurt me, I just know that now he's on the Eagles and they're going to suck and their quarterback play sucks and they're going to get shut down on secondary. So I can't do that, but I have a better one to put you on the spot with. Who has a better rookie season, Kadarius Toney or Jalen Waddle?
Even if the Giants didn't take Kadarius Toney, I would say Kadarius Toney.
Okay. Wow. Oh, wow. All right.
Because
another one mine. All right.
I think I didn't even have Waddle as my number one. I didn't have him. Like a lot of people. Did any of you have him as your number one?
No way.
No.
Listen,
a lot of people.
It's not even begin to start it up again.
Right. No,
I said, I heard it. You know what? I have to correct myself for a quick moment. I did have him as my number one. My number one bust of the draft.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. I follow a lot of draft analysts, right? Who were all saying, bigging up Waddle, saying that like he's going to be the number one. Forget about these other guys. He's not. He's definitely not. So I'm telling you now, Kadarius Toney has a much better rookie season than Jalen Waddle.
All right. No, listen, I agree with you because to me, I was comparing Waddle to Ruggs all the time. I said they played together on the same team in college. They were the same type of receiver. And all of a sudden, Ruggs comes in and you're making excuses because he ended up with Carr and he's on the Raiders and all this kind of shit. Well, now he's with Tua and he's with Miami. It's not like he's that much better of a fit. So, yeah, I'm definitely on the same page with you. And like I said, maybe the guy has a good NFL career, but from where they're projecting him to be drafted and where he did end up getting taken, he is going to be a bust. I keep saying it. You could book it home on me on that one.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree.
Yeah, all right. That's funny. I'm glad to hear the same thing with that. But Mike, I'm sorry.
I'll be shocked if Waddle's any good, man. To be honest.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
we'll find out, but it really all depends on like what situation you get put in too. You know what I mean? That's a big deal. Like
that's true.
I don't think Devontae Smith is going to have that great of a year in Philly with Jalen Hurts.
No,
I just don't see it.
I can't see it.
You know what's going to be funny? I don't even think, and I'll be this bold. I'll go out and say it on a limb here. And this is the first time I'm even saying anything remotely close to this. I don't even think Jamar Chase is going to be the top wide receiver rookie in this class this year. Watch. I'll say it. All right. Watch. I think I haven't made a prediction yet. It's still early. It's only May. I'll make one. But there will be a receiver that will put up better numbers, just like Jefferson did last season.
Well, Jefferson's a prime example, isn't he?
Yep.
That's it.
So that's one of my bold predictions. You can book that in Ireland.
Yeah, put that up there with the BRWAL one.
Put it all in the streets, man.
But that kind of gets us into like one of the other topics, because CBS put out one of their articles, and at first it kind of said like, okay, addressing the key factors of the NFC East and what each team will need to have success in order to, be the champ or move on into the playoffs and etc. Right. And at first I thought they were going to give some like real key breakdowns. At the end of the day, it came back to the most important position, the reason why these guys get paid so much, the quarterback position. Right. Yeah. For Dallas, it's can Dak stay healthy? For Washington, it's can Ryan Fitzpatrick play a full season? For the Eagles, do I even have to say anything about them? And then obviously for us, and that's where I'll kind of leave it to you guys to kind of pick this up here. They're basically saying that this is sort of a final audition, if you would, for our guy, Daniel Jones, right? And if he aces it, well, this is the quarterback of the future. And if he fails it, thank God we got 2 first-round picks.
Exactly. I like that assurance of knowing that we've got those 2 first-round picks. And that's when I go back to the Gettleman thing I said at the beginning. That trade is remarkable. Okay, next year isn't a great quarterback class. We'll all concede that, right?
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, if we're having 2 first-round picks next year and we need to draft a quarterback, we're in a much healthier position to do it. I don't think we're going to need to. I've been all in on Daniel Jones from day one. I think you guys are the same going by what I see on social media. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. I feel like no one has given him a chance because he didn't. Like, people are expecting like instant success. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen at the highest level. It happens 1 in every 50. Like, you look at Mahomes, for example, right? I'm just going to bring Mahomes. He sat for 1 season, wasn't it?
1 year.
Yep. Yeah, 1 year, right? Then he comes in, and the kid's like a complete joke. He's the best player I've ever seen, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So, too many Giants fans expect that. It's not going to happen. Like, my heart, like, that point when he fell last season on that rush, right?
Yeah.
Like, that couldn't have happened to like a worse dude. Out of everyone that could have happened to, it couldn't have happened to anyone worse than him.
It had to be him.
Like,
you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of, remember one of the first times that Eli like actually had a nice run and he couldn't slide?
Yeah. He didn't know what to do.
Slide. Look like he broke down and shit, like went down on one knee. He's like, oh God, and fumbles the football.
Yeah.
It was like he got hit in the head.
I thought maybe it was somebody like in the fucking like bleachers and they fucking shot him with like a BB gun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It looked like he got hit in the head like 5 yards before Eli fell. Like, you know what I mean? Like he had a concussion for fucking like the last 5 yards.
Like you do the boxing brawl with a podcast that we gotta get into a little bit too. But like it looks like you don't want to fight against hit. They don't know where they are. They just like staggering around.
Yeah, he just staggers. Yeah.
He fell. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
I know, but like I think this year he's got too many weapons not to do good. I mean, Saquon, this injury with Saquon's a make or break in terms of this season. It can go one way, it goes the other. It doesn't go medium. I mean, either the first game, the same thing happens, or else he's in all season and he's going to be massive for us. But like all these weapons, there's no way Daniel Jones doesn't perform this year. Yeah. And if he doesn't,
he has no more excuses. He has no more excuses, man. That's what it comes down to. So it's interesting. Like, let's see what type of man he is. Let's see if he steps up to the challenge and, becomes that guy. So, I mean, if that's not the case, then we got 2 first-round draft picks, maybe not to draft a quarterback, to maybe trade for one, like a certain guy like Aaron Rodgers, where they just won't put that story to bed because they're saying, oh, Giants could trade, their 2 first-round picks, next year, then the ours for the year after, and the 3rd rounder, they just trade away everybody in New York for Aaron Rodgers. Why don't you? So I obviously don't want that to happen, but it is an option, and the Giants do have the draft capital to make that work, and not a lot of teams do.
I would not take Aaron Rodgers if you give me him for free. that's a hot take, right? And I'll give you my reasoning behind it, right?
Right, that's a little crazy, but I'm interested.
Okay, hear me out, right? It sets an unprecedented feat for the Giants to say, okay, we've got this Hall of Fame quarterback for probably 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then we're back to square one again. In fact, we're in a worse off position because we've no draft capital. We have nothing anymore. We're starting from zilch. I don't want it. That's why I wouldn't take him, honestly. I think the idea is great if he wins you a Super Bowl. If he doesn't, it's not worth it. I don't see the benefits of it. I'm happy to.
If he's free and decides to get cut, I mean, he can play here for a couple of years.
Okay. You know where I think he'll go?
I'll take him for free.
I think he'll go to Washington. If he goes anywhere. If he goes anywhere.
They think they're going to the NFC Championship game and it'll be fucking Rodgers versus Brady too.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If he goes anywhere, that's where he's going.
It's there or possibly the Raiders, but I think Gruden is pretty set with Carr. That's the only thing he does have. Like for whatever reason, he really likes Carr. I don't know why, but he does.
I think he banged his wife or something like that.
Seems like it.
It's like, all right, dude, that's your quarterback. Go ahead. Like,
get something on him, that's for sure.
Well, listen, what if we did end up getting, like, especially if Aaron Rodgers was free, right? And then we were like back to square one. Don't forget who's like 2 years away from making his college debut, and Arch Manning, all right? He's only
so great.
6 years away, but we can do this.
I don't know if you've seen me. I tweeted his high school like a couple of months ago when he made those unbelievable 5 touchdown game or something. I tweeted it, and it went like viral. And like just watching that, I was just thinking, like, give me him right now. Let him work under Daniel Jones right now. Let's just take him.
He still have 2 more years high school.
I know.
High school, right? And literally, he's going this in the next couple of weeks. He's going to go down to see Ohio State, Alabama, and a few other big major schools, Clemson. It's like, dude, you got 2 more years of high school left. Like, how the fuck are you like already doing this? Like, that's how special that dude is already. Like, I was looking at like the top recruits to come out for college. So I'm like, oh, what is he coming out like next year, the year after? I had to like go to like 2024 and shit, where it's like he's gonna have that class. And I'm exaggerating.
I know.
It's like, wait, what?
He's going all around to visit these colleges. I think at that time, like back in the day, I think I was just looking for like keg parties, like to go to. Like, I'm like, damn, man.
I had 2 more years of college, like till college. I'm like, shit, I don't even know. Like, it's high school. I got 2 more years of high school. I don't even know what I'm doing yet.
Crazy. Like,
yeah. So listen, that could be the long-term plan, right?
give me it right now. I'll take it.
Yeah, right. No, but like as far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned, we said it a couple weeks back. Like, it's not worth what they're asking. It's just absolutely not even fucking close. Like, I don't care. We're not in a position like that where we have that much draft capital to just do it, because I'd rather sort of be on the way that I really saw him realistic with this type of a season that we should have in 2021. And I definitely see improvement. I definitely can see possibly double-digit wins, all that kind of stuff on the horizon. And I do think Daniel Jones is going to be good. I don't know if he's going to be elite. I can't say he's going to be a top 5 quarterback this year, but he's going to be good. I could see him being a solid top 10 quarterback, somewhere in that area or there, maybe 12, whatever. And that's going to be good enough where I think we're also going to see what other 1 or 2 pieces that we're missing from becoming a true Super Bowl contending team. And that's what those first 2 picks will hopefully really be used for. And then forget it, sky's the limit in 2022.
Dude, I think the way this team is like lined up, I think the quarterback's the only piece missing for a Super Bowl title. If Daniel Jones plays like lights out next year, I mean, we have the capabilities to shock the world. I don't know if people realize like we have probably a number one, number two, top three defense like around there. Our defense is going to be pretty fucking sick, and if we can run the ball and control the game clock, and with this coaching staff, I mean, there's a reason why like the Monday night people they have the Giants going against two Super Bowl teams in fucking Tampa and Kansas City. I mean, why would they just put the Giants going against them? They know they're good.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, Colin, when it comes to the NFL draft, do you guys, your friends, I know maybe your cousins back over here in the States, do they actually take the time to sit down and like start making predictions as to who's going to be the first round pick and all that kind of nonsense? Or is that just us and we get too crazy with our friends?
Well, my cousins in America definitely do. I mean, we go back and forward on WhatsApp between us, picking all different situations. My friends here, not so much. I mean, a few guys I know in terms of like the NFL who are very, very interested will. But it's not as big over here because you have to remember as well the access to college games here are little to none. I mean,
true. Okay.
There is a game in Ireland every year, funny enough. So Army play Navy here once a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know Notre Dame. Didn't they play a game in Ireland?
They play
back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They play it as well. But I mean, it's very few and far between. Probably 1% of the population actually know that happens. So, like it's it's not big here at all. But I mean, I think that will grow as the NFL keeps continuing to grow. So
yeah. The reason why I bring it up is that I've missed pretty badly the first. Well, actually, no, I don't think I missed that bad, Mike. This year I was pretty close with the first round prediction because I had said that I was really big on Devonta Smith and I was big on Micah Parsons, and I said that if it came down where both were available, we went one way or the other. It was going to really kind of determine that maybe Micah wasn't the character that we thought he could be or was trying to present himself on social media as the draft approached. Mm-hmm. And I said, if we took Smith over him, then without certainly, then that's what probably it was. And then I said, look, in all honesty, I have a weird feeling that we might end up trading back. And we kind of did, right? And it really kind of leads into like sort of the other predictions that I was making because the last two seasons now, the second round pick I was dead on, money on, and excited about in McKinney. And of course, our guy Ojulari that I am all on. All right. I am fucking all in. I have not stopped talking about him. I even got a like. Oh, no doubt. I even got a like from Carl Banks about some of the stuff I was saying about him. Like I was big. I was tweeting that, retweeting that shit out. Because I really, really think that this dude, like everybody's talking about edge rushes and all this shit and Kawhi Pay and all these guys, man, to know that we not only traded back, got the 2 draft picks, first round for next year, got this sort of playmaker in Tony that I am starting to believe in more and more as we're approaching the season. But then we got fucking Ojulari after trading back again in the second round. Man, listen, that's going to be the steal of the draft. And I've been saying for weeks, I can't wait till McKinney comes back. Like people are completely sleeping on this guy. Right. This guy, if you go back, watch the Dallas game from last year. Anyone that's listening to, definitely do that. Do yourself a favor and watch how this kid was ball hawking. And that was like only his like really maybe second, third game back. Like he didn't even have a full he didn't have a preseason games. Like I've been saying that like I maybe can't get the first round right, but man, I've been hitting on the second round. And people will be surprised at McKinney and Ojulari.
Dude, McKinney, like that dude, think of Ed Reed. You know what I mean? Like you watch what he does in this fucking defense next year, man. That's exciting, man.
Seriously.
I agree. I can't wait to see it. Like I'm telling you now, we have a top 3 defense in the league. Don't care what anyone tells me. Like the best football player on our team last year, Blake Martinez, for me.
Oh
no,
without it,
had a little thing going on with him,
So at the time we were with Manscaped, and we would do like the Manscaped player of the game, offense and defense, and special teams. So we were recapping the defensive player of the year. And we each picked our own candidate and we put it out there on social media. And mine was Blake Martinez. That's why I'm like, I lost. But I was like, man, we should have put the fucking bet out. We should have put it out in Ireland too.
Yeah. I love Blake Martinez. And I think like looking at this defense, we're only getting better. There's nothing to say that anyone in that defense is on a decline. I mean, looking at everything that we've got going for us this year, as Mike says, people are sleeping on us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm
That's a
telling
good
you.
way to put it.
That's a reason why Patrick Graham wanted to stay in the first place. He could have been the head coach, got more money with like the Jets or somebody else.
Yep.
He's like, nah, I'll stay here. He thinks
I'll win
he's
a
gonna be
Super
the
Bowl.
new Belichick, where he's just gonna be the best defensive coordinator ever, and then eventually get head coach of the Giants in like 10 years when Judge decides to have enough of winning Super Bowls.
Listen, maybe
Judge is never leaving.
Nah, he's probably staying.
Spagnuolo 2.0.
Maybe they'll stay forever, these two guys on the Giants, because they love it here so much, man. Who knows, man? We might have a dynasty working on our hands, man.
Listen, it is good to see that not only are coaches wanting to stay with this staff, being a young staff, a young coach, sort of an unproven head coach and Judge, right? And in the addition to that, where these free agents are now starting to come over, and Adoree Jackson and a few other signings that we had, that's kind of something that, like, as a Giants fan growing up, and I haven't seen anything like that in a while. It's just that alone is exciting because, they're buying into a culture of football that Judge is at least bringing to the table that I haven't seen in a very long time. And it's definitely going to be fun this year at the very least. Like I don't see us having a repeat of what we did last year. Not even fucking close.
No way. Not close to it. I agree 100%. I think, like when you're attracting guys like Adoree Jackson and Kenny Golladay, like this is telling you more than what you need to know right now. For anyone that is listening that maybe has doubts about the Giants going forward, what's your doubts? I want to know. I want to know what people's doubts are. I hear all these people on Twitter saying that Gettleman, what's he doing wrong? What's went wrong for you? Because I can't think of one thing. Tell me one thing he's done wrong.
Well, it's actually pretty funny. I can't because Mike can't tell you anything he did wrong.
No, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing, Jules. It's hiring Pat Shermer. That was his one mistake. All right. But nobody's perfect, so I let him slide on that. Otherwise, I think he's the greatest GM in the fucking world.
No, the reason why I have to sort of like get like over the top with it is that John and Mike are huge Gettleman supporters. All right, like they call him Gettle God, the whole friggin' thing, right? Like, so I'm the one that's sort of always kind of walked the like neutral type of like, all right, look, he's done some things, he's done some good things, whatever. And I was one of the big advocates last season when the Giants were kind of like, tail spinning and having that horrible start to the season. I said, look, you can't fire him. You have a brand new coach in there, whole new coaching staff. Everybody's young. I said, if you fire him now, then all the pressure shifts to them. I was like, you don't want that. I said, now, if you let it ride and die out this year and we go into next season and we have a similar situation or it's a failure and the wheels come off, well, now you can fire Gettleman and we can move on, and it's time to move on from that regime, and then we just keep the coaching staff and everything else in place. And the funny thing is not only did we end up doing that, but then Gettleman shows up and gives probably the best offseason of not like the Giants, but of his fucking career probably with the signings and the draft. Sure. And I'm just like, you see, guys, hold on to him for one more year.
That's funny. Well, hold on, guys. Let's take a quick commercial break. We got some breaking news coming right for you. I got some breaking news to tell you. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Breaking news, guys. We just signed another running back. It just happened. We signed running back Raquel Armstead. He was on the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, 5th round pick out of Temple in 2019. He missed a lot of time because of crowded backfield there, but he also with the COVID situation. It's got a little bit of a burst to him, some serious juice. Could be a nice signing for us, I guess. I mean, who knows? Any other running backs want to come play for us?
Oh, it's funny. We do a lot of fantasy football as well. And wait, I forgot you have 5 fantasy leagues that you run, so you probably can answer this. And I was just ready because I'm usually like the fantasy guy more. Me and Mike, John, not so much, but yeah, like he was supposed to be the starter in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
he got COVID,
and then Robinson went to the moon.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting signing. I mean, wow. Talk about continuously getting depth. I mean, wow. That's interesting.
That makes me worry, though, a bit.
I know, right?
I'm starting to think, do they think that Barkley's not going to be ready? Do they think that Barkley maybe is going to be ready, but isn't going to be like what's going on here?
I think they don't want to push him because he's the star. Like you don't push him, you ease his way back in, and then you let him get the juice later on in the year. I think that's what their plan is. They're gonna baby him, man, and rightfully so, man. He's a franchise. He's a franchise guy.
I think you're hitting it on. I think you're hitting it right on the head there. I think there was even like some rumors that are starting to float around lately that he may not even be ready for week 1.
I seen that.
So like maybe the first couple of games, maybe he's only getting about 10, 12 carries, maybe 1 or 2 passes, keep it real light and moderate for those first few games, especially that we're playing Denver and Washington. We could beat them without him now.
For real. We can.
But that's probably what it is. I mean, either that or, the Booker signing was good. The BRWAL draft, draft, yes, was pretty decent. Now we got a little more depth with some of the other players. It could just be a depth move. We're not sure. Maybe, you're going to open up that competition to see who's really going to be the number 2 running back, number 3 running back. Now these guys got to push themselves. And I think a lot has to do with last year where we were like pulling guys off the street. It felt like just signing anybody.
Well, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. Gary BRWAL, running back number 2, all year long. Kid's gonna absolutely kill it. Remember me saying it, okay?
All right, I'm gonna tell Raquel right now. Listen, buddy, you just signed for no reason.
Bye, Raquel.
So, COLM, you do a boxing podcast, right? And I know you started off with the BRWAL Network, which we were originally a part of as well. Tell us a little bit more about the one that you currently have going on.
So yeah, like it was weird. So like I'm in a group chat with like some of my closest friends, and like we would speak about boxing like a lot. Do you guys watch boxing or not?
I used to be a big boxing fan, but it's tough these days.
Okay.
I watched some. I used to be a huge boxing fan years ago. I prefer boxing more than UFC, actually.
Yeah.
That's I mean, we would like talk about it all the time. So I'd started doing like a American football podcast for the UK kind of, and I was getting gigs at ESPN and stuff, and doing quite a bit with ESPN, different places like Hawaii, Albany, all these different places. I'm on ESPN quite a bit. And then I decided that I was going to stop doing the UK podcast and start my own boxing podcast because it was like something different.
Right.
So I said to my 2 friends, one of them's an actor and one of them's a professional soccer player. So we were like, you know what, we'll give it a go. We'll see how long we can go for. Make it a guest podcast, get on like as big guests as we can get. We dreamt to the moon and we made it. So at the minute, like it's just went crazy. Like we've had the biggest names in the sport on. Like we've got some huge name. I can't really say. There's a big American fighter coming on in the next 2 weeks. Like we've had Jamel Herring, who's a former Marine world champion right now from New York. We've had like some of the Shakur Stevenson. We've had all these guys on the podcast. So I mean, like it's taken off more so than what I had ever thought. And we recently left the BRWAL Network and went out by ourselves just because, we've got sponsors and stuff on our own and everything we were doing by ourselves anyways, but we kept the name and trademarked it in the UK because, BRWAL's a term that was formed, like derived from fighting. So it links well with the boxing. And I mean, it's went really, really well and something that probably I never thought would reach to this stage, but it's going really, really good.
You can follow him on the YouTube channel. Like his YouTube is BRWAL Boxing. So I mean, I liked and subscribed to the the podcast. So you guys definitely do the same.
Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Where else can we find you?
And real quick too, you mentioned you did a lot of work with ESPN. What specifically with them?
So basically, all these different. I write now I did write for the BRWAL Network, but now I write for Sideline Sports Network.
Okay.
So I do a bit of Giants writing for them. Currently, at the minute, I haven't recently been doing ESPN, but I'll start back up soon. So they get me on talking about the Giants, especially in Albany. So it's 104.5 in Albany. Okay. So I'm on there a bit, talking. I think I messaged you before, Mike. My first ever time got on it. I think I messaged you to say, you should listen to this when we were both in the same like BRWAL group or something.
Yeah.
But so I've been on there quite a bit. Hawaii, I'm on quite a bit. Just talking about the Giants, and I think it's the people like to hear the different accent because at the start they're all going like, "Who's this guy? What's he know about the Giants?" And then they listen a bit, and I don't know, the reviews that I get from the guys at ESPN tell me that people like to listen to it because it's different and they've never heard someone with this accent talk about the Giants, so it works.
They say the same thing about me, man. It's like, what is this fucking guy now? You get a lot of hate on these fucking channels, man.
I was saying, I guess the only way that it would make sense for me to come on is if I was like to talk about soccer or something, right?
You like soccer?
I can talk a little bit. I mean, listen, I know we got Euro Cup coming up. I like that. I follow that all the time religiously, you know.
Yeah.
A little bit more with the Italian league and like Juventus and teams like that. But you know, look, I have a little bit of knowledge. We do follow the sport around here. Look, I remember it was funny because you mentioned earlier today that you were talking about how you know, oh, you got, you know, the Giants games sometimes, you know, be over at like 3 a.m. and all that kind of craziness. Listen, I remember one of the first like World Cups that I actually really got into, and it was like in '94. Man, you like if you really wanted to go catch like the Italian team play, that match might be on at like 3, 4 in the morning. Like that's it. Like if you wanted to watch that match, depending where it was a country. Now I don't know how ESPN does it. America got involved. They started liking soccer, and now it's like you can watch that shit either at like 11 a.m. or like 10 a.m. Like that might be an inconvenience, or is that like 8 o'clock at night for us? Like it's fantastic.
Perfect, right?
But
what's your team in the World Cup, man? Like, is it Ireland? Because I was rooting for the fucking Ireland, man. Any World Cup they were ever in, man, that's who I'm rooting for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my team, Ireland, and I'm a season ticket holder at Manchester United as well. So I would go watch. I would go watch them quite a bit. But yeah, Ireland, love Ireland, and unfortunately, we have not a good football team in a number of years, but we'll get there
eventually.
Sure. Listen, the United States doesn't have that great of a football team either.
They've
had some runs. They've had some runs for sure.
Yeah.
It was an embarrassment that we didn't qualify for the last World Cup, especially with all we had to do to get in. But don't even get me started about that one.
The women, we got the women.
It's a team that you've beaten for the last 20 years. And like they won one match in like the last 15 fucking matches. Like, yeah, and we lose.
I know.
So yeah, don't even get me started with that. I am excited though about Euro Cup. I mean, how crazy does it get when like those type of events are on in Ireland?
Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, if Ireland are in it, it's amazing. But unfortunately, Ireland didn't qualify for this one. So, yeah, we haven't been great. But yeah, the buzz is so good whenever Ireland are on and everyone's watching the games. And like you say, you know, in the World Cups and stuff. I think the last time Ireland were in a competition, I was actually with my cousins in New York, and we were all watching it in New York on Fox Sports or whatever it was on.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really good. So, my flight's booked to New York on the 25th of June. But I don't know if the US is going to be open or not by then. I've had this same flight cancelled 4 times in the past year. So this is let's just hope it happens. But if it doesn't happen, hopefully in July or something, and I want to hit you two guys up and we'll get a Yankees game in. Or if it's August, we'll go preseason Giants.
Definitely.
We'll see what's up.
Absolutely. Definitely. At the very least, we'll grab a couple of drinks in one of the bars.
That's always a given. No doubt.
That's like guaranteed. That's what's like, wait, the 25th, you're going to be in Manhattan? Where are you going to be?
Listen, if Ireland's ever in the championship and they're fucking playing for the title, I might have to fly to fucking Ireland, man, to watch them around there. That's
you're always welcome.
That has to be a scene. Shit. Let's hope that happens, man. Ireland, man, do your thing, man. Fucking get some balls in the net. So let's go.
Well, isn't there? I know there's a more popular sport, right? That like actually is a little bit more like where Ireland is actually really very competitive in. Like I know it's not necessarily rugby or soccer. I thought it was like one like sort of like version of the two. If I'm mistaken, or maybe I'm way off. I forget.
There is a sport like it's an Irish sport, so it's Gaelic football and hurling.
That's it. Thank you.
And yeah, but they're only really played in Ireland. I mean, I played a bit in Boston. Gaelic football, and I know a lot of people that have been over to America and New York, especially playing Gaelic football and stuff. But it is more so just in Ireland. Like it's not there's no
Got it. I remember, you know what it was? I think I had a couple of drinks with some of the guys at the time, and you know they were like, pretty big, decent sized guys, and I'm like, all right. And they're like making fun of me because I was drinking a few beers. I've been drinking all day, and like I got like a quick like club soda in between. And like, what are you drinking? Like, why are you drinking that shit for? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm a little dehydrated. Like, yeah, have another beer. And I'm like, you're right. And that's when we got into talking. So I remember, I think there were a couple of Gaelic players that actually come over to the Bronx once a year and they play like a game. And
That's it.
Over there, right? Yeah, that's it. Okay.
That's
also, I hung out a lot of Irish bars.
Great. That's awesome.
But listen, COLM, it was an absolute pleasure having you on, man. I think we're about ready to wrap up this week's episode. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think that's a wrap, man. COLM, we got to let people know where they can find you, man.
Yeah, you can get me on Twitter at COLM McGUIGAN, just my name if you can't spell it. I'm sure I'll retweet some of this podcast post, but yeah, it's I'm on there and you can follow us as well on Brawl Boxing. But yeah, you'll get a lot of Jan's tweets from me this season for sure.
Perfect. All right, man. Well, listen, definitely. You know where to find us, Mike at mfttrainer.com, MikeTrainer.com, myself, Jules NYC1. Join the podcast. Check out the Facebook group. All that stuff is blowing up, man. Come at us next week. We'll see you out of here later.
Go Irish.